action.
Alright, well, welcome to part 2 of this 1964 Dodge Polara drivability problem that we've been having. Now, if you watched the earlier video, we talked about the carburetor and how I had the wrong gasket in the carburetor, which created a vacuum leak. And it's funny, you know, I've been tweaking and playing around with this thing so much that I actually got it to run right. Well, it seemed like it ran right, but it wasn't right. So after the gasket was replaced, or took the one gasket out and put the right gasket back in it, we drove it around a few hundred more miles, and the problem is still there. So it seems to have improved, but I still have this miss, like a lean miss. Something's causing it. Don't know what. All I do know is that if you watched earlier videos where our vacuum has never been real steady, it's always been around 17, 18 inches, and it just was never right. Well, getting rid of that vacuum leak then solved that problem. So now I have 20 inches of vacuum steady, so it definitely needed an improvement. Didn't solve the problem. So I have to admit that when I got this engine running, I did not want to do a compression test on the engine. And for the sole reason is that I didn't want it to hinder progress. I didn't want to go, oh crap, I got a dead cylinder. Got to rebuild the engine. I want to take it all the way as far as I can before I absolutely needed to deal with doing a compression test, because it just, I'm running out of things that could possibly be. Maybe we got a cylinder that's low. That's possible. So I got the compression tester out. I did a compression test on it, and I had a whole bunch of really low cylinders, and I was bummed out. And I had a buddy of mine who's in the carburetors, knows something about carburetors. He said that maybe you should disconnect your vacuum advance. I'm like, huh, okay. Might as well try that. He's told me that this could possibly be a problem. So I disconnected the vacuum advance, I put a plug in the carburetor, in the hole, took it out for a ride, and son of a gun, it definitely made an improvement. It helped, but the problem was still there. So, like a fool, when I did the compression test, I didn't have the Schrader valve in it, and all the compression was low, and I was all bummed out. And me and Gail are like, now we gotta pull the motor out of it come winter, and I'm re-ringing the thing, because as you know, the engine was seized solid. So finally I had the guts. I'm just going to do a compression test. The book calls for it to be hot. So I did a compression test on the engine and found out that all the cylinders are all within, like, and I'll show you that in a second when we move over to now is the problem. So we're going to move over here to the distributors. Now, there's 3 rules when you fix a vintage car. Rule number 1 is you're going to spend money. And once you spend that money, then you got to deal with rule number 2, and rule number 2 is you're going to spend more money. And when you finally spent more money repairing, replacing, and rebuilding and overhauling everything, there's rule number 3, and rule number 3 is you're going to spend more money until everything is literally been replaced or repaired or rebuilt. So it's par for the course, but here we are. Many videos back I talk about my original numbers matching distributor. Now, the problem that I had with this thing when I bought a new set of points and a condenser was that I realized that the lobes on the distributor shaft were wore out. So I've got a high lobe, a low lobe, a high lobe, a low lobe. It's just all wore out. Because originally, when this distributor was brand new, Mopar wanted you to service this every 10,000 miles. They wanted you to put a little oil in that hole right there. And that oil lubricated the bushing. Little cap on it, it's kind of cute, closes up. Then they want you to put oil in this little cotton felt piece in here to lubricate this piece of this bushing. And then you're supposed to lubricate on the shaft of where the points go up and down, open and close. You're supposed to lubricate this with some kind of, I guess, like a dielectric grease, which I've used modern stuff on it. But when I went to put the points and the condenser in to use this distributor, I didn't even know it was going to work, but I could never set the gap correctly. The gap is supposed to be 0.014 to 0.019. I had high and low spots, and no matter what I did to adjust this thing, I kept having, you know, I could never really set it. I just winged it so that I could get the thing to run. So, like I said to you guys, I did a compression test on the engine, and here were the results of that compression test. Now, when I did that, I realized that this has got a good engine in it. There's no problems with this engine whatsoever. It's got excellent compression, which surprised the heck out of me. And it's pretty much 130 to 165 are the specifications. And for a seized engine that doesn't burn any oil so far, I'm quite impressed with it. But number 5 cylinder was oil fouling, was getting either oil fouling or it was getting fuel fouled. So, like I said, there's a miss. I'm getting a little bit of a miss on tip-in. Something was wrong. The distributor advance was disconnected. Gotta be the distributor. So, crap. Well, you can find lots of distributors for 413s. You can find distributors for 426s, 440s, because there are lots of them available. But the difference between the 383 and the 440, 426, and 413 is that the shaft is longer because the block is bigger. It's different deck height or whatever that is. So you can't use it. So I had to find a distributor, something that I could replace this with, either or a kit to rebuild it, but they don't sell really any rebuilding kits for this distributor. So I marked, when I took this out, I marked where number 5 cylinder was, and wouldn't you know it, the highest point, the only point on the lobe that's actually any good, is number 5 cylinder. So the gap ends up being like 0.049 on the highest point of it, because there's no way to adjust it because all the lobes are wore out. So the book says you'll get a misfire. Well, that's what I got, was a misfire. So number 5 cylinder was not firing correctly, or intermittently, or whenever it felt like it, or whatever. The gap was just too far, and that's why number 5 cylinder, looking at the compression, I got 160 pounds. Crap. So there's Chinese distributors, and I've looked up, researched some of this stuff, and the guys are saying, well, you know, all the crap inside of them is cheap and Chinese, and like, I didn't want that. It's like $189 plus shipping, so you're looking at over $200 for a distributor. Be patient. Wait it out. We didn't want to drive the car. So a couple weeks ago, I see this on eBay, and I'm saved. Here is a service distributor from Mopar, an original, brand new service distributor. So when your car went in and needed a distributor, it didn't have the numbers on it, on this plate that told you like when it was produced, and the numbers matched for 1964. This is a service one. So if you look here, there's no numbers where there would be when it was a factory part that came from Mopar. So brand new old stock. I look in here, I got brand new Dodge points, a brand new Dodge condenser. Everything is working correctly. Everything is not wore out. Everything's nice and stiff, but it's for a 69. So does that really matter? Is some judge going to bust my balls because it doesn't have the numbers matching distributor in it? Maybe so, I don't know. But I'll tell you something. When I went to set the point gap, everything is exactly 0.016. So this should solve the drivability problem. Now, you might ask me, why don't you just take the guts out of this and put it in your original distributor? And that thought had crossed my mind. I thought, well, why don't I just take it all apart and put all the good brand new parts in my original distributor? And I may do that someday, but I've decided I don't want to, because why would I want to take apart a brand new brand new distributor and put it all in this? The heck with it. So, have a look at this. Here's the play in the distributor. Look at that. Wore out. It's just shot. There's nothing I can do with it. So now the plan is that I'm going to put this thing in here and see if it solves the problem. And I think, honestly guys, that it's going to. So when I get that distributor in and get it out on the road, we'll do a follow-up video and see if it fixed it. So anyway, so have a good night, and you know what time it is, don't you? It's time for 8 Seconds with Gail.
Hey guys, you like what you see? You do? Fantastic. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button there for me, and you get to see a whole lot more.
God, I know I do.